Should I put this on only subscribers mode or something? Turn on. Hold on. I always forget to do this every time. Because lately, my apps don't be, my YouTube app don't be, my live don't be recording right. Man, because iPhones be overheating. They don't overheat. But, let's go ahead and get in here. Halfway through this book, and I want to share, chapter 11, the mindset in motion cycle. If you were to set this book down, walk to your bathroom mirror, and look at yourself, what would you see? Chances are you'd see the you've always been. Sure, you'd see yourself as you are today, but you probably would not see the minute changes that have taken place since you finished the activities for the last chapter. These changes happen every minute, every hour, and every day on this journey of life. Contrast that to seeing someone else for the first time in a long time. Maybe it's a childhood friend that you haven't seen for 20 years, a past love, or maybe even a relative you haven't seen since you were a child. In those cases, you notice a drastic difference. The person you remember from your past is gone. The person you the person may have been younger, had more or different hair, a different wardrobe, or maybe even a different posture or way of walking and talking. It's ironic that in others, change seems to happen all at once, while in us, it seems to sneak up on us. Only after a long movement in the same direction do we seem to see the effects of change in ourselves. But pursuing greatness is all about change. As we have discussed, greatness comes from both healing our past pain and finding our identity as we become someone new, someone different, and better. And these kinds of changes take time, effort, and energy. They also take an awareness that change happens when we examine three major components nestled under the one big idea of mindset. Mindset consists of three interwoven and overlapping components: your thoughts, how you think; your emotions, how you feel; your behavior, how you act. We'll unpack these elements more in this chapter, but I wanted to first discuss why these three things mix together to impact mindset. When talking about how powerful negative emotions can be on behavior, Dr. Joe Dispenza, author of Becoming Supernatural, said, "If I don't overcome that emotion, then I'm living in that past, and that's karma, because that emotion is going to drive my behaviors and my thoughts. My future is going to look a lot like my past." Emotions can cause us to live in the past where hurt or trauma took place, which affects your present behaviors, which stunts your future growth. Emotions impact behaviors. As communication pathologist and cognitive neuroscientist Dr. Caroline Leaf told me, you cannot control events and circumstances. Hold on. Glassed water from mountain. Is that Mountain Valley glassed water, y'all? The best of the best of the best, sir. Straight from the Ouachita Mountains. All right. You cannot control events and circumstances, but you can learn to manage your mind. COVID, trauma, death, life happens, but greatness comes from us. Managing our mind and greatness doesn't necessarily mean that you've got millions in the bank and are this famous superstar. It means that you have mental peace or you are actually growing. You are satisfied as a person. Events, especially traumatic or negative events, create emotions within us. These emotions lead to thoughts, and these thoughts must be managed or else they can control our behaviors in a negative way. Marissa Peer, world renowned transformational therapy trainer, states every thought you think you make real. And if you doubt that, think it is. If you think of something embarrassing, you will blush. If you think of something sad, your eyes will fill up with tears. If you think of food, your stomach rumbles. If you think of something sexy, you will get physically aroused. So the body makes thoughts. Whatever thought you are thinking, your body is very busy making it real. If you think better thoughts, you get better emotional reactions and better responses. Think, feel, act. See how things can get tangled up? Becoming doesn't happen all at once. It happens gradually, over time. As your thoughts become actions, your feelings become thoughts. Your behavior leads to more feelings, and your emotions affect your actions. And so it goes. Let's unpack that connection further. Let's say the circle of life. The path to anywhere worth going requires taking action. Chances are you've seen this reality played out in your own life. Simply thinking, I should exercise, I need to eat better, I should listen to different people, I need to take a break from social media, I should really reach out to that person and make amends, doesn't result in greatness. The same could be said of emotions. Feelings such as I feel lonely when I'm by myself at night in my apartment. I feel shame because I said those unkind words. I feel angry because that person cut me off in traffic. Or I feel grateful because of what that person did for me. Don't change your behavior. Hold on. Don't. The thoughts require action, and that requires dealing with both internal and external forces between you, who you were, healing your past, and who you are becoming, finding your identity. And between your very real past, with all the things that you are working to heal there, and your ideal future, the new greatness identity you are striving to create. It's a process that takes time. It's direction in motion. Consider this graph of what I call the mindset and motion cycle. We got a little graph, mindset in motion. The greatness mindset is the sweet spot where how you think, how you feel, and how you act all come together. Mindset itself is neutral. It can be positive or negative. It can be messy or it can be clean. Hold on. Excuse me. That's what the two different types of lines in the illustration represent. The jagged lines represent the opposite of a greatness mindset. Thoughts, emotions, and behavior are connected, but not in a way that leads to growth and greatness. When these jagged lines are in play, your thoughts might be largely negative and self defeating, resulting in a shrinking of your mindset. Thoughts like, I'll never be good enough to reach my goal. I'll never be what someone is looking for in a partner. Every time I try something new, I fail. And this kind of thing always happens to people like me. These thoughts obviously have a toxic and negative effect on your emotions. They make you feel defeated, powerless, stuck, anxious, small, and stagnant. And when you feel like that, you aren't inspired to act. Your negative mindset tells you that action is futile. On the other hand, there is a cycle that leads to expansion and growth, to greatness. The smooth lines on the outside represent a greatness mindset where things flow smoothly. Your thoughts are mostly good, positive, and boost your emotions. In other words, they feel like they flow smoothly as you feel confidence, security, positivity, and excitement. These emotions affect your behavior. When you see an opportunity, you seize it. You act with purpose. You push through obstacles with grit and determination. When you succeed, you are flooded with new positive thoughts like I did it. I overcame the obstacle. I grew through that. I didn't react the way I used to in that kind of situation. The right thoughts produce better behavior and lead to better emotions. The right emotions lead to better behavior and lead to greater thoughts. The right behavior reinforces better thoughts, which lead to better emotions. The challenging part is navigating the tension between thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. It's a little like trying to balance on a stand up paddleboard. You may get to your feet and be able to balance when the water is calm, but when the waves pick up, you can get shaky. Try rowing, and sh- you can get shakier still. Bump into something under the water, and you can get pitched off. It takes an internal strength to lock in your core, stay on your feet, and keep moving towards your goal. That's how the mindset and motion cycle works. It's an invisible and constant awareness of thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that impact you daily as you make micro adjustments to gain steadiness. But as you learn, but as you learn to navigate these three components, you gradually move from who you were to who you are becoming. Unlocking the three component, Unlocking the three components. Since the three mindset components can get tangled up, it's best if we unpack them one at a time and then tie them all back together. Let's start let's start with thoughts, then move into emotions, and finally wrap up with behaviors. I think this is where I left off at. Yeah, this is what I've been reading lately, y'all. He's talking about smoke the blunt. What's going on, y'all? But yeah, this is where I left off, and this is where I've been reading. This is just about having a good mindset and unlocking the power of your mind, and it actually helped me out a lot. And I love books like this. These are my favorite types of books. Um, Anything dealing with just consciousness and anything that I can read. So it's like somebody that's like in a position that I want to be in. Like somebody that's successful and somebody that's overcame trauma, overcame adversity, and just life. And like he was talking about negative emotions and like low self-esteem, stuff like that, and came out on the other side and built the life of their dreams. That's who I want to learn from. They say who you are, who you hang around, and I might not be able to physically hang around millionaires necessarily right now in this moment, but literally I can through like reading or through what I'm saying, through like on a podcast or through the spirit. So this is my way of surrounding myself with millionaires and like-minded people. What I'm saying. Like I might not be able to in my instant 3D reality, but through reading books, it's definitely helped me develop a mindset to where, yeah, like I'm learning from you, and these are your thoughts. You wrote a book, and you put it out there to help people go through where you've been through, and like yeah, like this person has struggled with stuff like the stuff that was going through, like like going through like sports and injuries and financial burdens, and what I mean, like not having money and just all types of stuff. And I'm gonna continue to surround myself with these people through books and through and keep just developing my character and keep just becoming the best version of myself and doing the best I can to be a light in the world on this platform and using my time wisely, effectively, and living my best life, living my dreams, and accomplishing goals. You know, Let's get back into it, y'all. Unlocking the three components. Since the three mindset components can get tangled up, it's best if we unpack them one. Hold on, let me see. Hold on, let me see what's all. Let me see all in here first, man. Damn, I can say what's up. Larry James, what's going on? Yeah, let me see what's some day ones in here. Meta, what's going on? Ability 524. GG's bum. Narnia. All right, let's get back in here. My bad. Angela Hurd, what's going on? All right, let's get back in there, man. Unlocking the three components. Since the three mindset components can get tangled up, it's best if we unpack them one at a time and tie them all back together. Let's start with thoughts, then move into emotions, and finally wrap up with behaviors. Optimizing the thought cycle. I'm no stranger to battling thoughts and striving to find the right mindset. For many years, the silent dialogue in my head would run on repeat, telling me I was worthless, that I was stupid, that no one could ever love me again. The worst part was that I thought I was the only one who felt this way. The reality is that most of us have a challenge like this. The lies may be different, the recording may play different at different times or be triggered by different catalysts, but the message can still be just as damaging. What's even more challenging is that it was my voice in the recording. And who do we trust more than ourselves? So when my voice was telling me those things, it seemed to have weight in the ring of truth. Dr. Joe Dispenza told me, some people wake up in the morning and the first thing they do is think about the problems. Those problems are memories that are etched in the brain that are connected to certain people, certain objects, certain things at a certain time and place. Every one of those problems has an emotion associated with it. So then all of a sudden they start feeling unhappy. Now the body is in the past because thoughts are the language of the brain and feelings are the language of the body. Did you catch that last part? Thoughts are the language of the brain and feelings are the language of the body. It's the mindset in motion cycle at work. Our thoughts talk to our brain and our feelings talk to our body. When these thoughts lean to the negative or are linked on a painful past, it affects the way we move and act in the present. And this impacts our future and who we are becoming. Some people have emotions that influence thoughts. Joe continued. Some people are more analytical. They have thoughts that influence things, but it's a loop. It's that cycle of thinking. The challenge then becomes, how do you challenge that cycle of thinking? This is a critical question to answer because it ties directly into our identity. The right thoughts, emotions, and actions lead to who we want to become. The wrong thoughts, emotions, and actions keep us stuck. Who do your thoughts say you are? We all have high level identity questions that intersect with our thoughts. Who am I? What's my purpose? Why am I here? Why do I act the way I do? Who am I becoming? At the root of each of these questions is a thought. And as we've discussed, that thought is tangled up with our emotions and our actions. That's why it's critical to begin to recognize and, as best as we can, shape what we are thinking. We need to learn how to reject the thoughts that don't align with our greatness identity and to accept and solidify the ones that do. I like how Dr. Ethan Cross, author of the book Chatter, put it. We don't have control over the thoughts that pop up, but we do have control over how it over but what we do have control over is how we engage with those thoughts once they surface. We can choose to immerse ourselves in the thoughts. I can choose to distance myself from my thoughts, or challenge my thoughts. There's a range of things we can do when thoughts pop up, and that's where the control comes in. Thoughts are going to happen, but you have a not so secret superpower, potentially untapped at your disposal and ready to push past the you that you used to be and toward the you that you are becoming. Just as an army of soldiers can quickly fall apart without structure and leadership, the army of thoughts in your mind can do the same thing rather quickly too. Those little ideas that bounce around in your brain hundreds of times a day may be big or they may be small. They may be positive or they may be negative. They may build you up or tear you down. They may help you achieve your biggest dreams, greatness, or they may hold you back and keep you living life on the sidelines. Greatness demands that you learn to order your thoughts and make them work for you. Taking charge of your thoughts. Anybody liking this book so far? Any thoughts? It's a pretty good book. I fuck with it. Like I said, I'm halfway through. We on page 180. Yeah, and go all the way to what, 290, 290 something. Remember 300. 300. Yeah, I don't even go to 300. Yeah, it don't even go to 300. So about 100 more pages and I'll be done with this book. And I started reading this book. Damn, I've been reading this book for like 2 months now. Yeah, because I started reading this right before I stopped smoking. I started reading this book. I picked this book up probably like 2 weeks before I stopped smoking cigarettes. So yeah, like 2 weeks before I started smoking, I started reading this book. And like I said, it helped me a lot. Like it helped me get into that mode to where it's like, okay, start writing stuff down. I wrote a few things down like when I first started reading this book. But this book helped me start getting back into that, that writing habit, the habit of writing things down. It actually gave me that formula of desire plus non-resist. Is it this book? Desire plus non-resistant equals not desired reality. I can't think it. I think I might have got that for somewhere else, but it might have been in this book. I don't know. But yeah, this book helped me. No, this is not the Bible. Okay, Autumn, you enjoying it for sure? But yeah, um, it's by Lewis Howes. Pretty cool dude. It's a New York Times bestseller. Got it from the library, and yeah. Okay, so we left off at taking charge of your thoughts. At this point, you may be thinking, "That's great, Lewis, but how do I make my thoughts work for me?" Here are a few things I've learned over the years as I've interviewed experts on this topic. For starters, you've got to establish a sort of thought bouncer that stands at the doorway of your mind and lets the good thoughts in while keeping the bad thoughts out. I heard this term from the author and motivational speaker Mel Robbins, who said, "I am constantly training my mind to work for me." How does she how does she do this? By accessing the power of something called the reticular activation system, RAS. Here's how Mel explained it. Imagine a hairnet on your brain, only it's electricity, meaning it's alive. The RAS has one job, and the job is to block out 99% of what's going on and let in 1% of what we need to know at this moment in history. Your RAS has a monster job. It's like a bouncer at the bar that says, "You're not coming in." The ways this applies to our thoughts is intriguing. Mel says that there are four things that our RAS lets in. The first three are the sound of our name, any threats to our safety, and when someone is interested in us. But it's the fourth one that can drastically alter how we think. This is the $1 billion thing that everybody needs to know. The bouncing in your brain lets in whatever you think is important to you. Wow. So when you get intentional about telling your brain what's important to you, your brain's literally like, "Come on in." Here's the downside to this. If you have told yourself that you are a bad person for the past 10 years, guess what your brain thinks is important? Yeah. And I had learned this, and I'm actually actively working on that. Like filtering, like your brain will filter out reality Your brain, you gotta like literally reprogram. I got this thing called, let's say, read, write, reprogram. Read, write, reprogram. Because like if you like, this is the most sophisticated technology in the world, in the whole, in all of creation, next to God. This is God made this thing, and this thing got the ability to do whatever you want it to do. And once you start making it filter out the things that you don't need, and once you start making it put attention on things that help you grow and help you understand, and just, like seeking knowledge and understanding and wisdom, and letting go of the thing, and make it filter out things that's not serving you, then your reality, your body responds to that, your nervous system responds to that, your blood and your all the stuff, your whole body responds to what's in here. And because like 95% of your mind is subconscious, meaning that like it's not conscious. So like 5% of like what you consciously do is like what is like what you think about, and like, I don't want to say what you think. Yeah, what you think about, and like what you what are you actively entertaining in your mind. And the subconscious is the things that, things that just, just going on in the background. Like your body runs on its own, and we have so many thoughts a day. I think I remember researching it. I think we have like something like 40,000 thoughts a day, and a lot of our thoughts do not get finished. And that's a lot of what is in your subconscious mind, is like a whole bunch of unfinished thoughts. So like through meditation, you could just learn like what's really in your subconscious mind. You could just hear like a lot of stuff that he was talking about. It's like a whole bunch of like negative stuff in here. And like once you go through there, and you just like, okay, yeah, this is not helping me. This is not serving me. Like it, like, and then that thing that he was talking about, the RAS, which is like kind of like it's like a bouncer or bodyguard. It's like okay, when these thoughts pop up, and that's where the conscious part comes in. When you have to actively like, okay, yeah. And for me, it's like speaking, like talking to myself, and talking like, because your brain hears everything that you're saying. Like as I'm sitting here doing this right now with you, I'm hearing everything. So it's making me stronger as we speak. It's making you stronger as we speak, because your brain is receiving it if you listen it. And your brain is like actively rewiring itself right now. Like my brain too is. We sit here rewiring shit. Dang, we some fucking electricians right now. You feel me? Hold on, man. I got the heat on. But let me get another drink, man. We drinking glass water straight from the Washita Mountains. You feel me? I don't know why I keep advertising that shit, because they ain't not paying me. But maybe one day they will. But I might as well get good at it while I, you know what I'm saying, while I might as well start practicing. You know, doing little commercials and whatnot. Yeah. The Mountain Valley spring water contains. Okay. Where I leave at? Okay. So I left off the bouncer in your brain. So the bodyguard of your brain. Hold on, I got to burp. The bouncer in your brain lets in whatever you think is important to you. So when you get intentional about telling your brain what's important to you. Your brain's literally like, come on in. Here's a downside to this. If you have told yourself that you are a bad person for the past 10 years, guess what your brain thinks is important? Remember that track I had on repeat for years? I'm worthless, I'm stupid, I'm and unlovable. I was training my RAS to let more of those thoughts flood in. I was essentially, even if it wasn't unintentional, shaping my identity to become that person. Mel explains, when you get intentional about what you want to think about yourself, it changes in real time what your brain lets in and what it doesn't. Thoughts connect to emotions and actions. Debilitating thoughts lead to negative actions. Here's how to break that cycle. It's something Mel calls having a high five attitude. She challenged me this way. Starting tomorrow, after you wake up and make your bed and kind of settle your nervous system, high five yourself after setting your intention. Now you're centering yourself into your morning routine in a totally different way, with a calm down nervous system and clear intention. This boost of feeling supported and loved and celebrated. To fully push past the negative thoughts, that interruption, the mindset and emotion cycle, you need to reprogram the bouncer in your brain. Look at yourself in the mirror each morning, give yourself a high five, and make sure that you are only letting in positive thoughts that will lead to positive emotions that will translate into positive actions. In her book Super Attractor, Gabby Bernstein describes the first her choose again method as a way to take control of your thoughts. The first step method says, is to notice the negative thoughts that you have on repeat and notice how they make you feel. It takes practice to catch yourself at this early stage, and it will become a habit. Step two is to forgive yourself for having the thought. When you forgive yourself for having that thought, what happens is that you no longer identify with it. This separates the negative thought from your identity and allows you to dispassionately view it from a greater distance. The third step, she says, is the fun part. That's when you can choose again where you can reach for the next best feeling thought. Here's an example that may help lock this in. Suppose you are worried about all the things you don't have, and it's causing you to be really selfish and have a scarcity mindset instead of an abundant mindset. The choose again method helps you flip the script to focus on serving other people. You may not have massive amounts of money or time to give everyone, but you can open a door, volunteer your time and energy, or help someone carry a stroller up a set of stairs. By doing that, you feel more vulnerable. You feel like you have value because you added value to someone else's moment in their life. The more moments you build like this throughout the day, the more you're going to feel like $1 million. Here's your secret that starts with a simple thought. You don't need $1 million to feel like $1 million. Hey, you sure the fuck don't, gang. Because you gotta be rich before you actually come rich. You gotta be rich. You already gotta be there. To feel like $1 million, you already is $1 million. To get $1 million, you already gotta have $1 million. If you ain't already got it, you gotta already have it. You gotta already have it. It's already mine. Who's that? Goodwill. All right. Emotions. We each understand what it means to feel feelings because we feel them all the time. Feelings by themselves are neither good nor bad. Just as a thermometer simply tells us the temperature. Feelings tell us what's going on inside our minds at any given moment. But unlike a temperature reading, our feelings and emotions are often tied to things that happened in our past or could happen in our future. This has huge implications for what's going on in our present. As Dan Millman said, put it on my show by focusing on the present moment, the here and now. That's our moment of power. It's our moment of reality, our moment of sanity. We can always handle this moment. He then shared a powerful story of a workshop he once led at a retreat in Costa Rica. On the retreat, one of the events was the race down a zip line. As he took his group up a spiral staircase that wrapped around a giant tree in the middle of the forest, a woman in the group noticeably and audibly feeling nervous. He asked her if she'd walk up a flight of stairs before. Obviously, the answer was yes. That's all we're doing right now, he said, and she relaxed. Next, they reached the top of the platform, surrounded by guardrails, and clipped into the safety cable that surrounded the tree. Dan could tell the woman's nerves had kicked in again. Dan told her, "The only way we can get hurt standing here is to take off our helmets and bang our heads against the tree." She smiled, and this brought her back to the present, and her emotions were once again back under her control. Finally, they clipped into the zip line and stood at the edge of the platform. The nerves were once again evident on her face. Dan said, "Now you can be scared. At least it's appropriate in the moment." Then Dan brought the story home. By focusing on the moment, it simplifies our life. This is the moment of power to focus on, not our cosmic purpose or ultimate purpose or 20-year goal, but focused on what I need to do now. What is my purpose right now? Feelings and emotions can often hijack our thoughts, freeze our actions, and keep us from greatness right now in the moment. That's why it's critical to process them in a way that frees us. Stiff, stuck, and stunned. Sometimes we get caught up in what happened in the past and we worry about the future and what might happen. This stops us from enjoying the present or moving confidently into our future. Dr. Susan David, the author of Emotional Agility, defines emotional agility this way: it's the ability to be healthy human beings. And what I mean by that is that every day we have tens of thousands of thoughts and emotions. The emotions might be emotions about loneliness, anxiety, and those turn into stories that we tell ourselves about who we are in the world. And we have these things every single day. When we are experiencing stress and ambiguity and complexity, often these thoughts, emotions, and stories become more pervasive and they have a greater level of hold on us. Physical agility allows us to act and react nimbly. It means we can move quickly and effectively, pivoting to face new opportunities or avoid danger. As an athlete, my physical agility is something I worked on constantly to make sure I was an asset. It turns out that emotional agility, working to keep our emotions and feelings healthy, is just as important, maybe even more so. When we are emotionally stiff and stunned, it keeps us from greatness. It keeps us locked up in the past and our feelings spiral out of control. When we get caught in a vicious cycle, a whirlpool of negativity and doubt. Susan described three ways we can process these emotions. The first two are by bottling and brooding. Never heard that word before. Bottling, as you can probably guess, is when we lock our emotions inside or simply try to push them aside. It can manifest itself as forced positivity or simply ignoring something that's bad and replacing it with something that makes you feel better. In Susan's words, bottling is when you have a difficult emotional experience and you're pushing it aside with really good intentions and you're trying to get on with your day or your life. But bottling over time is actually associated with lower levels of well-being. Since you haven't been practicing emotional skills, you are completely at a loss with how to deal with a situation that is fundamentally out of control. Brooding can be just as bad. That's where we get stuck in our emotions and we feel like all we can see is the unfairness and injustice. Brooding keeps us from seeing anything else but our pain and how we feel. All this bottling and brooding wreaks havoc on our bodies and nervous systems. It keeps our stress hormones off the charts. Personally, when I feel stress and anxiety building up inside of me, I focus on my breathing instead of staying in my pain, bottling it up and brooding over it. I try to connect with my body with my breath and breathe through my entire body. This helps me calm myself down, and then I can ask myself, is this a feeling or a thought that is supporting me? Or is it something connected to my past that I haven't yet worked on? Gabby Bernstein told me, what Gabby Bernstein tell you? I'm gonna stop there, man. Um, that was a good read. What? I gotta go to sleep, but I enjoyed listening to you read. Appreciate that. Josh Jackson, appreciate it. Ooh, we got 500 rubies. Julian, what's going on?